So, begin with greetings and good thoughts in the morning. This 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 whatever the conversation we are about to have is as a result of a request from different people from different parts of the world. I actually don't know why they asked me this, because I'm probably the worst person talking about this. On the other hand, since I have crossed half the century mark existing in the world, maybe, I have a little entitlement to talk about this, at least to some of you people. But I think human relationship is it's not just human relationship between, like, as in, like romance. Yes, that's a big part, of course. And that's one part of human relationship that has been challenged, especially now more than ever. But, there are other human relationships. I mean, not only between human beings, but between 5 other realms, which most of the scientifically oriented people probably don't even care. But who knows? Maybe, you are dating with somebody is not really working because there's a asura that is interfering. So probably it's good to hear this. Then there's, of course, the human relationship with the world, environment, the earth. Even though, as I said, I'm probably the last person you should be talking about this. But maybe I can also assist in generating curiosity, probably different angle, or at the least stir up a little bit. I think, in general, having a transcendental view is so important. I have a little suspicion people like drinking alcohol because it sort of gives them a little bit of a transcendental view on their life. Sometimes seeing the world from as a person who's, in a tipsy mode, could give you a different reference. Many years ago, I was in London and I went to Natural History Museum. The curator there was a really interesting person. This is like 20 years ago, maybe 25, I don't know. None of these, advanced technology that we have today exists. In one room, dark room, there is this display of Earth from a photo of Earth shot from the space. And he said, there was only me actually in that room because all the others were interested in other things. And there's a sofa seat, there's a few sofa seats. It's almost like a theater. So he told me to sit in one of the sofa and said, okay, you should sit there and watch this picture at least for 5-10 minutes. And that's what I did. You know, normally I'm very critical and very cold-minded. I'm not that feeling-oriented. But that time, after a few minutes actually, I was almost like wailing. The tears was coming from my eyes. No other reasons. I'm looking at the earth. So much unexplainable feeling comes, just looking at that. Later he said, he wished that there is a system that all the world leaders, especially the leaders of the very powerful countries, to qualify to be a leader, that they at least go to the space and watch the earth 10 minutes. If they do that, they will realize what kind of a mess they are making to this beloved, beautiful earth. This is just an example. When I'm talking about transcendental view, I'm talking something like this, along this line. When we talk about a relationship, we always we always try to find the most narrowest, most close-up, most magnified angle and look into that sort of the world in general and especially the relationship. If you can look at our life with a little bit of a transcendental view, a big view, I think our attitude will definitely transform. By the way, there are people who think maybe relationship is not even necessary. This is very subjective, of course, but I don't know whether even it's possible to completely do without any relationship. And if it is possible, I think very few of us have this kind of courage. I'm talking especially about the human relationship, okay? There are a lot of good things about a relationship too, especially if you have the tendency of having Alzheimer, for instance. The modern world is so intolerant to the people who have Alzheimer. I want to ask these AI people to develop, some sort of a system so that either the AI have Alzheimer themselves and then have the empathy with those who have Alzheimer.
The AI have empathy.
Yes. If we know how to handle, I think, if we know how to sort of conduct, monitor the relationship, it can be very beneficial. But of course, this is also the most challenging and painful. The world of relationship is very challenging, more than ever now. We were talking about, value yesterday. Just very briefly, value is again playing a very important role here. The individualism, the value for individualism is very strong now. And that is probably a bad news for the world of relationship. Because in the world of relationship, you have to do a lot of negotiation. Anyway, so I just want to say a few things, and then, unlike yesterday, I don't want to take over too much time talking, and this so that you can raise questions. Because I think, and by the way, I should tell you this. As I said, really, I'm not expert in relationship, but I receive so many questions asking for advice, I don't know, whatever. I think 30% of the question that I receive are always something to do with a relationship. So, hearing many questions and the complaints about relationship, I think maybe there are a few things I will say that might benefit you. And this is where I also realize having lack of a transcendental view on our life seems to be always one of the main culprit. Of course, a lot of the things I'm going to share with you is also coming from the Buddha's teachings. For example, Buddha said in one sutra, a family relationship, right? Family, whatever, the relationship, human relationship should always be looked at as the situation of inn. Inn is like the hotel, like a guest house. That I would say is a very very transcendental view of looking at so-called family life. In a hotel like this, everybody checks in and they're bound to be checked out. Yeah, some of them can have a long stay, but sooner or later they go to different direction. This is one of his advice. That's how we should look at our so-called family relationship. Anyway, like everything, understanding the cause and conditions, the principle, the it's one of the most quintessential teachings of the Buddha, understanding the cause and condition, and therefore the impact, therefore the effect. That is probably fundamental. And when we talk about cause and condition, many times we assume that we know the cause and conditions. I don't know whether this still exists. 20 years ago, we used to have these newspaper, and in the section where you have all these, boy or a girl looking for a boy and girl, so and so, graduate, this, that, everything, right? I used to collect those clips. They're very interesting. Many of them are so, they have a height, weight, everything. Does it still exist? Okay. I guess in a different form, right? Social media, much faster and better probably. See, way of dealing with the world of relationship is, yes, of course, 5 feet 2 inch, that's one cause and condition, of course. what kind of education you have or not, all these cause and conditions, good family, not good family, all of this. Oh, by the way, I'm not sort of being cynical towards dating service. I'm actually very pro for this. I think it's such a, whoever thought about this must be a bodhisattva. For the lonely heart, it's so important. That's a very visible, obvious, tangible cause and conditions, but very narrow, upfront. There are so many, many, many other cause and conditions that you cannot, you don't even know what they are. You know, what I'm saying is you cannot write in your, what do you call it, in your ad, I want to meet a boy or a girl whom I have met 500 lifetimes before. I can't do that. There are just so many cause and conditions that are like beyond our conception, beyond our fathom, and beyond our control. So, after deciding to do this discussion this morning, I've been sort of rewinding through all the, I mean, not all, but a lot of interaction that I had with people who have relationship problem or relationship related situation. I know there are a lot of present day people who have decided, who now, you know, modernization, right? Modernity, one of the most significant, one of the most what do you call it? Remarkable aspect of modernity is you choose your own partner. You choose when to date, who to date, all of that, you know. The society, the village, your parents, no need to ask. And many times, even the parents in the societies, they don't want to even do anything with it because they're all scared of taking responsibility anyway. Yeah, I know quite a lot of them. It doesn't mean that their relationship is good. And it also doesn't mean that it's better. It's just relationship the normal way. Then I know people who have gone through all the preliminary practice of a relationship. You know, like the dating again and again, checking out and, you know, finding out and all of that. Then I actually know because it just proves that I have lived on this earth long, right? I actually know quite a lot of people who actually have family, who got married when they were 13. And that marriage, you know, their marriage, they've never, you know, some of them, they've never seen each other until the day they got married. A lot of them are still there together. So as you can see, the cause and conditions, is infinite. As we spoke yesterday, having this some sort of arrogance that I can fix, arrange, sort this out, and it will get fixed. It will become a perfect whatever. Having that kind of a conviction or arrogance, I don't know. This is something that we need to watch. Now, many of the comments I'm making as a Buddhist myself, obviously, I'm making all these comments based on my upbringing of being Buddhist. So what I'm saying is like, past life, so on and so forth. Okay, I know in today's world, concepts such as past life and all of that are a bit of a myth and unscientific. I have a lot of things to say about it, but maybe another day. I can only say that understanding of the past life as it is taught in the Indian wisdom tradition is very, very misinterpreted, and I don't know. It's just the it's it's actually unfortunate that the way it got misinterpreted. But anyway, as someone who is trained in the system that asserts that time is relative, so therefore, 1961, June 18, 10 minutes to 6 o'clock is not the only, is not my beginning. This is 1961. This is just a story. It's just somebody made it up. In other words, I am somebody who believes or who accepts the illusion of continuation. I'm sorry, no, I have to speak like this because I have to be really careful, presenting this. I'm somebody who accepts that an illusion of continuation before 1961 of myself exists. So I'm somebody who believes that all of you, without one exception, many times I had the illusion of you being my mother. But it's not that, not just sweet, on like, oh, you are all my mother. It's not just, it doesn't stop there, okay? I'm sure I had the illusion of eating all your legs with a coconut curry. And the illusion of, just all kinds of, I'm sure I had the illusion of all of you, without one exception. All of you mounted on me. Mount, like a horse. Like a horse. And in so many times, I must have an illusion of being totally believing in everything what you say in my past lives. And this is why here you are, completely sitting here 2 days in row. Karmic debt, karmic link, whatever you want to call it. Whatever I have said in the past or today, you can ask somebody to say it exactly word by word, you may not listen. I'm telling you about how the world of cause and condition and effect, how they play. It's really, really vast. So now, just like me, you and your world is exactly the same. So just imagine you're going for a date. You're about to date with somebody who you probably may have chewed many times, or who chewed you many times. All this plays a role, so This is why it just doesn't, it doesn't really work as you plan. And actually, it's a good thing that it doesn't work as you plan. I don't think you will find it interesting to have an AI partner who will do exactly what you want and do, all the time. It will be very boring. You will have to teach your AI to annoy you and go against your wishes and all of that. Okay, so now, so that's so that's how the cause and condition plays. Actually, we really don't have to go anywhere. Our life, our world, our geopolitics, for instance. Geopolitics, for instance, within like 1 year can tell you such uncertainty. Anyway, so yeah, this one I need to. So sometimes, although we have so much connectedness, sort of, one way or another, sometimes cause and conditions is such that I think the two beings may not encounter for eons. Sometimes the cause and conditions are such that you end up encountering quite a lot. It doesn't mean it's a good thing. In case you are wondering, I'm not talking about the soul mate here. You see, the Buddhists, actually not just Buddhists, but I think, specifically Buddhists, the concept of karma has got nothing to do with the predestined or fate, or also the opposite, free will. It's not free will, it's not also predestined. Okay? As I said, some of the beings, cause and condition are such that you may not encounter for eons. You may also not only not encounter, you may also not share the same phenomena for a long, long time. I don't know how to explain this. Some of these beings that you are connected, they may be for eons. They may have been in, I don't know, maybe alien, okay, let's call it, in Jupiter. And they don't see the world you see for a long time. long, long time. This is important, by the way, even though it sounds like I'm telling you some sort of a very mythological story. Just wait a little bit. I need to explain this. I don't know. Basically, not sharing the phenomena. It's like you are, okay, this being that you have, you had connection, now is a turtle. And this turtle is explaining to you how incredibly good it is to have the house always with on your back. You will not understand. This is not a good example, but I think just to give you a glimpse. Some of these beings, actually quite a lot of these beings, we may share certain phenomena. We may never meet in this life, or maybe even previous life and previous life, but we may share the same phenomena. Somebody in Peru right now, a human being, will see the sun and share this sun as a sun and the moon as the moon. In other words, if you encounter, at least there's one or two mutually agreed phenomena. Then there are other beings who you share the phenomena quite a lot. Maybe like your neighbor. You may never speak to your neighbor for the whole time, but you share the same elevator, the same, I don't know, car park, same 7-Eleven, all of that. Okay, these are just an example. But more importantly, many of these beings, we will share similar view, similar values, and similar ethics, and similar actions. I'm telling you these things because, in our, and okay, and so that's one angle, okay, that's one angle. We sort of share. On the other hand, every individual, their perception is their own. What I'm saying is, this blue flower that I see in this room, because we are all human beings, and we have a lot of, connection. Remember everything that I said earlier? We have a lot of connection. We have a similar view. We share certain values. But on the other hand, what I see, total 100% dimension, you will never see. Okay, I'll take this back.
我收回刚才说的话，
Except,
除了
okay, especially in the Tantric Buddhism, they say when the Guru introduces the nature of the mind, and when the disciple understands the nature of the mind 100%, then they are looking at the same thing 100% all dimension together. At that point, there is no you and him. So, but let's not go in there for now.
我跟你说这一切呢，是因为在关系当中呢，在于这个同意和不同意之间的挣扎，或者同意和不同意之间的那个跷跷板呢，是关系中的一大块。
So sometimes when you have a disagreement, your logic may not work. It's like if your partner has been a spider for many times in so-called previous life. And if your partner gets so excited when they see the webs, and you trying to give your partner the reason why it's so stupid, it's not going to work. And it's a kind of maybe you should save energy. Next time when you have a disagreement with your partner, think about the spider. I don't know, something like, many times it doesn't, it just doesn't work. But if there is cause and condition to make you hang on, no matter how you try to, tear apart, wash it out, it's just not going to work. Like take it out, separate, it's just not going to work. Mm-hmm. Okay, now let's go deeper into relationship. Of course, why would we even talk about a relationship if there is no you, right? Or me, or just self. I'm just giving you some ideas to have the transcendental view. Just hear it out. You don't have to, sort of remember it all the time and sort of quote me when there is a domestic situation. There's one thing that we have never ever managed to confirm. At the same time, we pretend, we make believe that it's already confirmed, and that is the existence of the self. This is the main problem. It's because of that relationship exists, and it's because of that also relationship has challenge.
这是主要的问题，正是因为这个问题呢，所以我们才会有关系，也正是因为这个问题，所以关系很具挑战性。
This not have managed to confirm I exist. This basic insecurity permeates, it radiates all our action. So this is why relationship is actually, it's art and it's a craft. You have to be really good with this. You have to be really artistic about the relationship. And it's actually, to the certain extent, doable if we have a little bit of patience. Again, I'm talking so much. Cause and conditions, I've already told you. In other words, karma is not like predestined or a fate, as many seem to interpret it that way. So, in other words, you can learn the craft of how to manipulate the cause and condition. So I think we should think about the vision of the relationship, vision and the mission of the relationship. Just like in all the, I'm sure Singaporeans are very used to this, all the company language, right? A nun, bhikshuni, 2000 years ago, India. I'm giving you a very specific picture. It's a very strong patriarchal society, and then the nun, the certain image, certain assumption and expectation from the society. This particular nun, this is around few hundred years later after Buddha passed away, and she was, as a follower of the Buddha, was so concerned for the Buddha Dharma. She really wanted to propagate, preserve. But as a nun, she can't do so much in that sort of patriarchal society. So she said, okay, I'm going to disrobe and have an affair with a prince. Just can you imagine what kind of scandal and what kind of a thing this must have created in that society? Anyway, she had that vision to save the Buddha Dharma, the mission to be with a prince. Anyway, the product is Asanga. And as if that's not enough, she sort of jilted that prince and went to another man, Brahmin, I think. And the product is Vasubandhu, two of the greatest commentator of the Buddha Dharma. I'm very sure, like in Chinese Buddhism, if you trace all your lineage, it will end up reaching to Asanga. So see, having a life, having a vision, we are talking about a relationship with a vision. I think this is actually quite important, especially when there's this kind of big vision, right? This is really a craft of manipulating the cause and condition. I think it's a bit like, there's a force of karma, cause and condition, but you also create another force to lead that force to your own benefit. Of course, again, not that easy. In order to have that kind of vision and mission, you need another cause and conditions to have that kind of courage, aspiration, and so on and so forth. Okay? So, just a few ideas of creating a right vision and maybe right attitude towards the world of relationship. Of course, I don't need to mention that having the right view of such as impermanence, such as let me explain this, right view of knowing that nothing is certain, and nothing in our world of cause and condition gives you 100% satisfaction. And how things appear is not how it is. If you have that kind of view, you are already on the way to have a grand attitude about relationship. Even if you can't have this, as I mentioned earlier, I was quoting the Buddha, and Milarepa also sang this song about how our so-called family is like an inn. Then that can already alter our attitude towards a relationship. For instance, trust is supposedly the most important part, one of the most important elements in the relationship. But trust is incredibly infinite. It's infinite. Like, I can't trust my own mood that it will stay like this till 1:30, because my element, my phenomena of trust depends so much on cause and conditions. So between two people, when they need to have a certain trust, yeah, maybe you can trust their head, but heart, can you trust? Maybe you can trust their heart, but can you trust their head? Head. Well, sort of, maybe you can trust their, sort of intelligence, but you can't really trust their emotion. So on, and vice versa. And especially nowadays, I'm a good example. Nowadays, we are becoming more and more moody. And moody is like I guess it makes the relationship exciting also, but it's tough. Then, everything is, because the mood is uncertain. You can tell, right? We always need to reconfirm. You have to say, I love you in the morning, in the afternoon, in the night, when you go, when you come, when you've called, when you hang up, before hang up, right? And then it's very complicated. Now we are going to talk about more our mundane relationship, okay? So it's very complicated, because when two people are together, it's good to have a little bit of being the ability to have, one should be able to take for granted the other. Isn't that, it should be good, right? But nowadays it's not like this. You cannot even for one instance take for granted the other. Your partner is almost like your moody boss. Every move you make, you have to be really careful. Every move you make. But if you do that too much, then the other partner will interpret this as you not being able to trust. And then another one is space. Especially now with the individualism. Space is so important. And not only individualism, technology, everything. Just about 20 years ago, I could go to some place and I will not hear from these people for at least 10 days. I may ask a question, the answer I will have to wait. 10 days, postage, stamp, all of this. Now, you ask the questions, even before you finish your questions, the answer is already there. That can be a good thing if you are booking an air ticket. But sometimes in the world of relationship, you don't want to have the answer right away. Have long space is really good, because when there is a space, even the most angry people, they forget to get angry. So being aware of the how much space one should create, because if there is like too much space, then I guess you are not even having the relationship. Okay, I should let you ask questions. I have only few more things. Other than that, we should just discuss, because this is something so personal. So I can try to respond to your questions, or as a Buddhist, what kind of relationship we need, we have, all that kind of thing.
Sorry, before we start the Q&A session, let me make two announcements so that we can facilitate this session in an effective way. So firstly, if you want to ask your question by yourself, we'll have a volunteer standing over here. Yeah, standing over here. He'll be passing the mic to you. Yeah. Then secondly, if you feel shy to stand up and ask the question, you can choose to write your question down onto a paper, then pass to any of the volunteers here, as well as our MC over here. Yeah. Before that, before we reach out to the in-person question, and before we attend to the in-person question, we actually have received two questions before the event, and we would like to address these two questions first. Okay, first question. This question is from a beginner in Buddhism, and it's actually a question on training of the mind. Yeah. So hi Rinpoche, thank you for your previous teaching. I'm a beginner in Buddhism. When you say practice, do you refer to meditation / mind training, or if there are many others? If so, what would you like to recommend for a beginner to start with?
I think definition of the practice, if you're as a Buddhist, definition of the practice, I think the best definition I would say is habituating. So yes, sitting could do it, but standing can also habituate one, as long as whatever you do, it reminds you or it takes you to the truth, then it's called practice.
Second question, Rinpoche, can you give some, this is a question from the international audience. So Rinpoche, can you give some advice to couples who are intending to get married?
I think we talked about relationship this morning. Think about those things and get married and make a big hoo-ha about the marriage. Whatever you can afford, you should do it. Big hoo-ha. Like, yeah, make a big deal out of it. But think about everything what we talked this morning. And it's actually, since the question is there, I might as well just put it here. This is what I was going to continue with. Like that bhikshuni, especially in the Mahayana Buddhism, every act, whatever act you take, of course, even like mundane act like drinking a cup of tea, and it's definitely marriage, one can do it with the aspiration that this will somehow, one way or another, benefit others. Since this is the appropriate question I will just continue from here. I really think, I don't know, you don't have to agree with me. You should consider marriage as a setting up a new company. It might help you. I don't know. Just try anyway. I may be wrong. The purpose and the function of the marriage obviously has changed throughout, right? I mean, if you live in a country where your neighbor is 200 miles away, then marriage has a different definition. This exists, by the way. When I went to Russia last time, I went to this house and their neighbor is about 200 miles away. There's just one house in the big field. Or if you live in the desert, then different functions. If you live in a situation where there's no food panda delivery, then marriage also has a different function. The husband chop the onion, wife, heat the pan. I don't know. There's some sort of a collaboration. If you live in the world where you can even have an argument and probably even cause divorce because there's a dispute, which is better, food panda or grab food? Then maybe it's good to think in terms of company. What's the company sort of bylaw, I don't know, some sort of a structure which you have to create, right? Because many times when people talk about marriage, they seem to think about the time of the Tang dynasty. Like, I don't know, getting all together, all of that kind of thing, right? No, definitely your children who you send to, different cause and condition where, they don't think this way. They're not going to do this. Many times nowadays, I just can't imagine being with one person in my whole life. That's like a daunting. So anyway, maybe it's good to think like a company. Okay, we take a break.
我们先休息。